Explained by the Billy Meier contacts, mysteries, myths, legends, conspiracy theories, historical inaccuracies, and more. Compiled by David Chance, revised October 18, 2023.
Gilgamesh. Contact Report 069.
But now I am surprised how big Gilgamesh was actually, king and demigod. According to Sumerian tradition, he would have measured more than 7 meters if I used the big old cubit, ancient unit of measure, ias, to length of forearm ulna. But according to the small cubit, it would have been only a little more than 3 meters. Which measurement is correct now? Can you tell me that?
Sure, it is the big ulna with which you have to measure.
Well then, Gilgamesh was about 7.50 meters tall, 24.12 feet, was that right?
That is correct, except for a few centimeters.
Contact Report 222.
Gilgamesh was descended from a race that came from a galaxy that is still unknown on Earth. Moreover, he was about 3 meters tall. How can it be that he still lives on Earth today unrecognized? Relatively seen to the Earth humans, he also does not age, for he, as you have explained, is 50,000 years old or more. And since you know him so well, and also have the possibility of taking him back to his world, why don't you do this?
You are mistaken in reference to the fact that the home galaxy of Gilgamesh is unknown on Earth because it was already discovered in the year 1781 by an astronomer named Meier. This is a somewhat oval spiral galaxy, which is simply called M94, NGC 4736, by the earthly astroscientists, and which is seen about 20 million light-years away from the Earth.
In our space-time configuration?
That is of correctness. But listen further. With Gilgamesh's people, it concerned a race of morphogenetic ones, whose special ability was to change their shape and size. A process that took several months for each occurrence, however.
First of all, why do you speak of concerned and was? And secondly, does your explanation with regard to the morphogenetic ones mean that it concerns a morphogenesis, precisely in terms of biological morphology? Morphogenesis, nevertheless, refers to the formation of an organism or life form during his or her development, whereby everything depends on the hereditary predisposition and on the environment. Do you mean this?
No, that is not the meaning of my words. Rather, I speak of a shape-shifting that can be carried out arbitrarily during normal existence.
Do you mean, for example, when the development of the physical body has already been completed? By this, I mean that a shape-shifting can be accomplished when...
That is the meaning of my words, yes.
Shape-shifting. Then one could very well call these humans shapeshifters. Can they change then also their external and internal features, apart from their shapes?
That is of correctness.
You have not yet answered my question, however, as to why you said concerned and was.
Gilgamesh's people no longer exists, because a sudden and unpredictable planetary catastrophe caused the whole race to become extinct within a few minutes. There were no survivors because no human beings of this people also stayed outside of the planet. Gilgamesh is, thus, the sole survivor who has adapted his shape, however, to that of the earthly human, and has morphogenetically transformed and found a new home in this world, which he no longer wants to leave.
Contact Report 519.
Some of the Earth foreigners who came to Earth, due to errors in coordination, strayed directly to Earth instead of reaching the Lyra system. Others were looking for the planet Melona Phaeton, which they did not find, but came to Earth in their search. Others were looking for Mars, but found it inanimate and finally came to Earth. But there were also those who suffered an accident, including the Gilgamesh spacecraft of the very early days, as well as the spacecraft that caused the Tunguska catastrophe.
Then there is a question about Gilgamesh, which you mentioned. In 1976, at the 69th contact, I spoke to your daughter Sim Yase about the fact that Gilgamesh was about 7.5 meters tall. But in 1988, at the 222nd contact, I talked to Quetzal about the fact that Gilgamesh was only 3 meters tall. This was based on the fact that Gilgamesh was a morphogenesis, and therefore had the ability to change his height and appearance. In these conversations with Sim Yase and Quetzal, it was unfortunately forgotten to mention that Gilgamesh was 7.5 meters tall at the time his spaceship was damaged, after which he changed his height, and by the time he was in Uruk-Gart, he was only 3 meters tall. In the course of time, he reduced his height by about 120 centimeters, so that he was then only about 1.8 meters tall. I think this should be made clear, before another hooligan thinks that there is a contradiction.
Contact Report 721.
But they also taught far eastward to Mesopotamia, where King Gilgamesh formerly ruled in Uruk-Gart, as well as to the Aryan country.
Scott posted on Wednesday, November 29th, 2006, 08:37 a.m. In Billy's book, The Rose-Pink Crystal, on page 70 it is written, Gilgamesh and 52 crew members crashed in the Himalayas approx 20,000 years ago. Gilgamesh survived with 2 other crew members, a man by the name of Atlan and a woman named Atlanta. Atlan died as a gladiator during the times of the Romans, and it is not known what happened to Atlanta. They came from a planet named Archon, and were able to extend their lifespans up to 350,000 years by drinking heavy water. Gilgamesh's lifespan and size have been reduced because of the lack of heavy water available on this planet. According to the information, Gilgamesh is still alive, and the Pleiadians have offered to take him back to his home world, but he prefers to stay on Earth. This is how I understand the story.
Norm posted on Wednesday, May 30th, 2007, 1:51 p.m. Dear Billy, why is Gilgamesh still on Earth and what is he doing?
Billy. Answer. Probably he is working as a scientist where he has access to heavy water which he is needing. Gilgamesh, whose original lifespan was 120.20 years, but is now reduced to about 50.20 years, will live here for the rest of his life. He cannot go back to his people even if he had a beam ship to fly to his native planet. His home planet in the spiral galaxy known as M94, NGC 4736, 20 million light-years away from us, has been destroyed by a catastrophe, and all of his inhabitants have died. Gilgamesh belongs to a race of morphologists, and is capable to change the shape of his body and size within several months. Source: 226th contact of February 3, 1988.